For everybody else, if you've been watching on YouTube, I'd love for you to throw down your opinions on parkour as well. Should only Ranger and Rogue have them? Should everybody have them? Should everybody have some sort of movement ability? Should there be grappling hooks? Just throw down some ideas. And this is really where people got really excited for parkour. People got excited for this video, and this video is a couple of years old now, and people are really excited about parkour and infiltration. Now, on the years and years of information we've gotten from Intrepid, the parkour ability is supposed to be restricted to Rangers and Rogues. And originally they wanted free parkour. They wanted the ability to climb pretty much anything, walls, trees. And again, this video is a concept video from all the way back in 2017. Then they talked about certain classes are able to climb parkour in certain areas. Climbing parkour is not a free form and will likely be restricted to certain quests, locations, or objects. But then they started talking about all classes will have maneuverability, traversal, utility abilities, like all classes will be able to use a grappling hook. And then as time went on, they started to figure out that this isn't a good idea. These were all their 2017. These were all their 2017. This is how we're going to do that. We're going to allow people to just go over obstacles. We're going to allow people to we're going to allow people to bypass the terrain. Now, I'm all for, right? I am all for, absolutely all for parkour. I understand that for some people it's a huge deal, right? For some people it's a huge deal. You have a wall, right? And here's your castle, and this is roughly the shape of the Alpha 1 castle. There's a gate here, and a gate here, right? And in Alpha 1, these walls weren't fully destructible. I don't know if they're going to move back to the fully destructible idea. However, the idea of putting up ladders is a great siege idea. You know, you put up ladders, you get on the top of the wall. However, exactly what Manmower just said, seems like you'd have to design all the buildings with parkour in mind, would be a lot of work and mess with sieges. Exactly. Because if there's a little tiny section of the wall back here that a rogue can simply parkour over, and then if there's a lever here for the gate, now you're kind of radically changing how the siege design works. So now what you're going to have is you're going to have the rogues. The rogue players are going to say, well, why aren't there more parkour spots during sieges? And the truth of the matter is, what's the point of developing all the chaos mechanics, the destruction physics of the gate, the wall, if it's going to just become meta to run a bunch of rogues and force the people to camp all these levers? You see what I'm saying? Like, your design decision to put in parkour has had a secondary effect of, now, well, if you put in parkour, you got to give them the ability to open up the gates somehow. And then the tertiary effect of that is, now I have to leave 3 to 4 people at each lever, and now I'm creating a meta for the defense. Now, because you know the meta has become to leave 3 to 4 people at the lever, now they're going to just start sending in more rogues, right? The other problem becomes, what about when you're on a caravan route, right? And you've got your caravan, and there's suddenly a tree here, right? And the person who's going to try to steal your caravan has parkoured up the tree. Do I think this is a great idea? Sure, absolutely I do. However, I don't think it's a great idea if you suddenly make it where only rogues can climb trees. Why would only rogues be able to climb trees? Why not rangers and rogues? Why aren't mages able to elevate or levitate to the top of the tree and just step into it? You know, that the problems with parkour become, you've done this one really cool thing that expands the bounds of the game. What other things are you going to add? Now, the other problem people are going to start to have is, well, you spent all this time to develop parkour. Why didn't you make it so that we can knock the trees down, right? And set up roadblocks? And you're going to say, but what does that have anything to do with parkour? And you're going to say, well, now I'm interacting with the environment. Why did you limit interaction with the environment to only be parkour? Dig underground. Why can't when I'm sieging this node, why can't I dig trenches? And I know what you're saying. You're like, how did we get here? How did we get here from parkour? Because now you're taking into account environmental features, right? And why did you only put your toes in the water? The other problem becomes, what if you have a dungeon, right? What if you have a dungeon that's supposed to be, you know, you have a dungeon that's supposed to be a rising tower, right? And I talked about this once before about the parkour. Appreciate that. So you have a dungeon that's supposed to be a rolling tower up. And I think fighting upwards in a tower is great content. I really do. I think when you know that there's the up or out is it. I like your perspective on so much gaming related. Nice work. Hey, I appreciate that. So you've got a boss here, you've got a boss here, and you've got the big boss on the roof, right? Well, if everybody can just parkour up the sides, then the boss at the top is going to get farmed disproportionately. Well, you just don't let people climb the sides of the tower and make it in. Then we go back to the point of, well, then why do you have parkour in it to begin with? If parkour isn't going to be universally applicable and universally accessible, why do you have it in? But now with that said, guys, I'm interested in knowing what you guys think. Just on parkour, what do you guys think about parkour? Is parkour something that Intrepid should take the time to develop? Should they develop it for launch? Should they scrap it for launch? And should they put it in later? Or do we just realize that this is a really cool 2017 feature that probably needs to hit the chopping block? Zetrix thinks that parkour should be post-launch. So then should parkour be post-launch only in the new expansion areas, or will they have to go back and look at every single area and redo them? If you can parkour all the surfaces that are appropriate size, it's cool. But if they're arbitrary set to only specific terrain types, it's weird. I do agree with you. I think if you're going to do parkour, you got to do it all in from the very beginning. I think parkour is something that would be neat that would need to be considered during development, but I'm no subject matter expert. Yes. Parkour should be in the game from the start. That's fair. The coolness isn't worth the headaches, at least on launch. I'd rather they invest in effort somewhere. That's a big one. Should they be investing differently? Think you're missing one important point: structure and materials. Some materials certainly build structures are unclimbable. Not sure I feel about parkour. That's good. Not sure how you feel about the parkour. All I've said is some introvert. Oh no, it's not related. We're only on parkour at the moment, guys. We're only on parkour. I enjoy BDO's style, which was very similar to what was shown in the live stream, where you can climb ledges. That's not really parkour, though. That's just a way to traverse terrain. That's like, I almost feel like they're including that for the parkour people who want the experience. I don't really like climbing up the ledges the way Steven did, but I'll tolerate it. I'll probably just jump off more stuff. I don't know if it's worth the work to make parkour when only the Rogue and Ranger players would be able to do it. I 100% agree with that. If you're going to put parkour into the game, everybody should be able to climb, period. I think it should be post-launch if it hasn't been built into the design already. I agree. I agree with that statement. I don't think there should be parkour, but I wouldn't be against climbing. I agree with that. I think that there would be no problem if you had grappling hooks and climbing. So for your tower, if they intentionally put it bricks or balconies sticking out, trying to push you off, that'd be cool. Climbing as an encounter design, sure. Parkour freedom, no. I'm tired of bad PvP where my enemy hides behind a pillar. If someone is going to kill me, he needs to make it flashier. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Will you be able to build? Again, not what we're talking about. We're only talking about parkour at the moment. If you want to ask those questions when we're done with the parkour segment, bring those questions back and just put a repost on them. Imagine if we had a spider mount that could climb walls in a parkour style. That would be interesting, and that's something they'd have to factor in as well. If we're putting in parkour, are we going to put in climbing mounts? Parkour is glitchy and buggy in games based around the function. I don't think it'll work. I think you can make it work. I do agree that parkour in a lot of games is buggy. Someone loves the hat. Thank you. I love the hat too. I have multiple top hats. Parkour doesn't mean a free scaling smooth surface. I'd be fine with it. You skill into, but only rogues and fighters. See, I have to disagree with you. Unless you're going to create some way of vertical movement for all the classes, I don't think you... First of all, I can't limit it to rogues and fighters because rangers should be able to parkour equally with a rogue. And then when you say rogues, fighters, rangers, now you start to... Okay, rogues, fighters, rangers, then other classes just simply don't get to go to certain parts of the world. I saw somebody say you could grease your walls in sieges. Obviously, if we're going to put parkour on the PvP encounter, we have to give the defenders a way to defeat it. But then we also run into the problem of parkour is great for the defender, or to beat the defender who has high walls. I'm skilling into something that doesn't help me in sieges to beat the defenders. Will you get iframes during parkour for PvP? Too soon to tell, but probably not. I don't see them going the iframe route. I like the idea that rogues rangers could find sneaky things in dungeons with parkour. Mages could levitate across big gaps, dispel magical walls. True, but now you start to get into the idea of equality, and are you building things for the sake of building them, or are you building things that are actually good? Parkour in like Assassin's Creed or Dying Light, or what is meant by parkour? Yeah, like Assassin's Creed. That's what we're talking about. I think all classes should be able to parkour, but rogues should get an extra perk for it, like climb faster and such. I don't think so. I think you make it... I think if you do that, then you're creating a developer meta. The grapple hook is a cool idea. I do like that. Opens up a crafting item. Absolutely. The ability to climb most anything sounds like a giant headache to design around. 100%. Free parkour is going to be a giant pain. I'd be fine with taking it out altogether. Mantling is enough. True. Parkour and sieges for me makes it so hard to imagine seeing it work out. I agree. Parkour grappling hooks cause so many problems in dev time. Everything needs to be tested way longer, and keeping boundaries, bugs at bay. The idea of climbing or jumping puzzles is cool. I hate jumping puzzles. I hope there's no tangible rewards from them. Jumping puzzles are great for a minority part of the community, but when you put mandatory things behind them, it really irritates people. Revelation Online and Guild Wars 2 both saw this. Do you think parkour abilities should be included as part of a Rogue Ranger secondary? That is actually probably the best idea. If you make the parkour abilities tied to the Rogue Ranger secondary, then everybody does have access to it. It becomes a character choice. What if it's linked to weapon or class or a skill that has been invested in so everyone could, but not everyone would be able to? Yeah, you'd only be able to do that. You'd only be able to link it to a subclass if you make it Ranger and Rogue subclass, not main class. I mean, people will parkour regardless of if there's support for it. No, they won't. You can't do what the game doesn't support. Period. Jumping off of stuff and sliding down the edges isn't parkour. Parkour off edges or where the devs build around that. The point is that they're going to build around it. If they don't have parkour already in and thinking about it, it would just cause so many issues. I agree. I agree. Yeah, movement is such a fundamental feature. I would assume they'd give it to everyone. Yes. Now we're getting to the point where, everybody has to have it. I think jumping puzzle rewards like completionist for each area is fine, but no item rewards. Yeah, I agree with you. Like in Star Wars: The Old Republic, where you had to find the cubes, it was annoying because there were some people who couldn't do it. There were a lot of those cubes that I would get to the spot, and then I would sorcerer pull people up because they hated it. Having the augments from the Rogue Ranger secondary could be a really cool way of making the same climbing ability, but different flavors. Grapple, levitate, climbing, summon. Yeah, well, no, because you would have parkour or grapple. You wouldn't be having the summons because you wouldn't be a summoner secondary at that point. You'd be a Rogue or a Ranger secondary. Make it parkourable environment is obvious, so it's not parkourable anywhere, but there are games I've played where platforming parkour was required to move to the next area, and sometimes that was such as pain in the hind. Think Destiny endgame raids. Yeah, that's the problem. People want to take parkour and they want to turn it into jumping puzzles, and a lot of people don't like those. Parkour means climb up any wall you like. Well, parkour can be climb up any wall you like or climb up certain walls. You can do it both ways. WoW had jumping puzzles that got everyone once in vanilla. If you didn't jump, you spent another 5 minutes running back to the jumping point. Don't lag. Yeah, that is the problem. Just put key points on buildings for the grapple hook. Yeah, that's the way you get around it. Like, you can only shimmy up by grappling the crane sticking out of the building or a post to a cross broken bridge. Yeah. The problem is that the problem is when you put it as a big point, then it's no longer skill. It's, click on that. I think parkour should only be for Rogue and Hunter with a lesser version you can use. The problem now is if you give parkour only to Rogue and Rangers, what do you give to everybody else? I think if you can parkour and climb up everywhere and every time, they need to make the enemy NPCs also be able to follow you somehow or cheese your way to kill hard NPCs. I agree with that. I agree. If we see what happened with Cataclysm and WoW and the advent of the ability to fly in Azeroth or Shadowbringers and the ability to fly in A Realm Reborn, then we see some of the serious issues that can arise from adding in parkour without designing the environment to handle it in the first place. You can come in after and you can add it, but there'll always be zones that just don't fit the quality and depth of textures. To talk about that real quick, because I can talk about Final Fantasy. People in Final Fantasy were mad that they couldn't fly in the original areas. So what they did was they added flying into the original areas. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, Jay, flying and parkour are two different things. You're right, they are. But there are maps in Final Fantasy that were specifically designed to be an adventure. There were maps in Final Fantasy that were specifically designed to make you go a certain route. And now with the flying, you just bypass that altogether. It's the point of, we didn't build this area with flying in mind, and so now when we double back and we put flying in it, it doesn't work out right. It doesn't work out properly because we didn't design it this way in the beginning. So yeah, I think everybody here is pretty much of the same mindset. I didn't see too many dissensions. Then if parkour only applies for things specifically designed for it, then it might work. Otherwise, it would probably be way too chaotic side effects. Some game mechanics need limits to work or at least be meaningful. Yes, absolutely. Without limits, your abilities have no meaning. Similar to adding mounts in New World, but that's small potatoes for them. Yeah, I mean, it's the I don't know why they didn't do that in the very beginning. I like the Batman Arkham City stuff. Some place you could anchor your grappling hook, vines, or ladders were climbable, but it was all pretty obvious after a little playing. And there was some skill to doing it right, but there were other ways to complete the objectives without doing it the way it was conveyed. True. A design idea. If you want poor car, you can do it for special events like Siege's Wars, but then you can add attacker, defender, pre-war objectives to add or remove parkour points. Yeah, I could see that. You could do that. Give nothing to the other classes. It should be part of the identity of rogue and hunter classes. Every class can do everything. What's the point of having classes? I didn't say give parkour. I said in response to, then what do you give the other classes? If you give something to one class and you don't keep the equation balanced, then you're creating a developer meta. So you need to have equality, because if rangers and rogues are more versatile than, say, fighters, then it might be worth having a little bit lower of a DPS output in exchange for having that special ability. Remember, you can't change your primary archetype. So whatever your primary archetype is, that's it. That's you. You can't change it. So for everybody else, if you've been watching on YouTube, I'd love for you to throw down your opinions on parkour as well. Should only Ranger and Rogue have them? Should everybody have them? Should everybody have some sort of movement ability? Should there be grappling hooks? Just throw down some ideas.
I say, Sprocket, we've reached the end of another video. Time to thank the sponsors. Yes, that will do, that will do. Shall we pop off for a spot of tea?